On the afternoon of August 18th, Shanghai was suddenly hit by strong winds, heavy rain, and lightning, causing the sky to darken rapidly. Fierce winds blew and torrential rains poured down. A Chinese citizen remarked that Shanghai truly lives up to its nickname as the Devil City. A video showed a tent at an exhibition being blown down by the strong winds, and panicked people were seen fleeing in all directions. The sudden downpour caught everyone off guard, but Shanghai residents showed their creativity as several employees put on cardboard helmets to shield themselves from the rain. This humorous scene was widely shared online. Severe flooding occurred in many areas. One citizen riding an electric bicycle helplessly watched as their bike was swept away by the water. A video shows that even the highways were flooded, with cars moving as if they were boats. On Gonghao New Road in Shanghai, my goodness, it rained for half an hour. All the electric scooters are soaking in the water. A man said,
"This is Shanghai's first heavy rain of 2024, and the main roads are no longer visible. Many vehicles have stalled due to flooding, and even buses were nearly submerged. This is the underground bridge on Heping Road. How are we supposed to get home? Just look at the bridge underpass. It's completely filled with water. How do you expect us to cross? Even having dinner tonight is going to be a problem."
Some first-floor residents even experienced rainwater backflow into their homes. In the video, water is seen gushing out of their toilet drain, flooding the entire bathroom. At 12:30 p.m. on that day, Shanghai Central Meteorological Observatory upgraded the blue rainstorm alert to a yellow alert. They stated that due to the strong thunderstorm cloud cluster, short-term heavy rainfall of more than 50 millimeters per hour was expected in the central and northern areas of Shanghai on the 18th, and advised preparing for drainage and flood prevention. Here's the old district of Shanghai. Unbelievable, right? In the international metropolis of Shanghai, there are still such dilapidated old houses. These old houses are especially vulnerable to heavy rain, and leaks have become common. Whenever there is weather like this, the residents suffer greatly. Recently, continuous heavy rains have hit many regions in China, including Liaoning, Hunan, Hebei, Jilin, and Shanxi. The heavy rain combined with reservoir discharge has caused widespread flooding. In many areas, the floodwaters have destroyed riverside houses and farmland, resulting in severe losses. Cities like Yongzhou have suffered from severe flooding, with homes and farmlands along the rivers being heavily affected. Some areas have experienced disasters 2 or even 3 times this year. On August 20th, several areas in Huludao, Liaoning, experienced a catastrophic flood. Multiple villages in the hardest-hit area lost contact. Unable to receive help, this woman said in despair, "I can only pray that it stops raining and the water level goes down so that I can survive. Otherwise, I might lose my life here. The water has already risen to the bed." According to the video, a family, presumably living in a high-rise building, filmed the sudden flood outside. A woman anxiously said, "Look how high the water is. The house in front has collapsed. Hurry, call for rescue. We can't get through on the phone right now." A villager's car parked in the yard was also swept away by the flood. "Oh my God, the car was swept away. Look, the family doesn't even know yet. The car was just washed away. The bridge is gone too. The bridge over there was also washed away. It's gone." The video footage shows this village in Jianchang City with many houses submerged in water. The man says,
"Do you see that? There are people on the rooftops, and they're about to be submerged. If the rain continues, people will be washed away. Half the village is almost underwater, with people on the rooftops, and the water level is about to reach them. If you can contact rescue teams, please do so as soon as possible."
A woman filming the video says,
"This is Xuetun, Bajia Town, Jianchang County. Friends, don't try to come this way. The bridge has collapsed. Look, the bridge is broken. Even if you come, you won't be able to cross. The water is overwhelming."
On August 19th, Jianchang County was hit by heavy rains. Due to the intense downpour, the water level of the local reservoir reached flood level limits. At 3 p.m. the same afternoon, without notifying downstream residents, the reservoir suddenly opened its gates and released water. A massive flood surged towards the county, submerging many villages and towns. In some areas, floodwaters reached depths of 4 to 5 meters, and roads were washed away. Some houses were almost completely submerged. Most areas lost electricity, internet, and communication. Reports indicate that half of one village has been flooded without receiving any rescue. Even the county seat lost contact for nearly a day. On the 20th, all work and production in the county were suspended urgently. The extent of casualties is still unknown. On Chinese social media, Douyin, a Liaoning user reported that Jianchang County had lost all contact and called for urgent rescue efforts. Others expressed concerns about being unable to reach family members and said that entire villages had been out of contact for hours, desperately needing assistance. Many people from outside the area are also anxiously searching for relatives. One person said, "My inbox is flooded today. Everyone knows that my family is from Jianchang, and they're all concerned about how things are there. Since this morning, I've been calling my parents non-stop, but the signal is down, and I haven't been able to reach them, so I'm quite worried. I wanted to go home to check on them, but the roads are flooded and I can't get through. I'm just anxious, unable to do anything." Local insiders revealed that at 7 p.m., the local Gongshan reservoir increased its water discharge to 500 cubic meters per second. According to government media reports, the flood discharge is planned to last for 7 days. Additionally, the Liaoning Meteorological Bureau reported that heavy to torrential rains are expected across most of Liaoning on August 20th to August 21st, with localized extreme downpours in some towns expected to be around 250 to 350 millimeters, and maximum hourly rainfall could reach 60 to 80 millimeters. So the situation in Jianchang County is unlikely to improve in the coming days. Additionally, Huludao's urban area was flooded, with videos showing floodwaters sweeping through the streets, submerging houses and cars. Some vehicles were swept away, while people struggled to save their electric bikes, watching helplessly as others were carried off by the water. On August 20th, a bridge in Chaoyang, Liaoning, was washed away by floods, causing a disruption in traffic. On August 19th, a sudden downpour in Dalian, Liaoning, caused urban flooding and seawater backflow, leading to waterlogging in multiple streets. Videos posted show dozens of cars being pushed together by the rushing muddy water on what appears to be a bridge, creating a terrifying car waterfall. One unfortunate car was swept into the river by the floodwaters, with the driver quickly climbing onto the roof for safety. "Oh my God, the car fell into the river. Look over there. It fell into the river. The bridge railing was washed away. It's over." Another video shows a car being swept downriver by floodwaters, where it was stopped in front of a small bridge. There appeared to be passengers inside the car, and people were helping with the rescue efforts. Other footage shows that a subway station in Dalian was heavily flooded, with numerous cars submerged in water. Early on the 19th, several people posted videos showing the waterlogged streets of Dalian.
The Zhongshan Road light rail station is completely flooded, and it's impossible to pass. Look at this heavy rain coming down. All these cars are done for. They're all underwater.
The video shows numerous cars submerged, with some almost completely underwater. The person filming noted that the water level had reached waist height.
Everything's flooded. Another batch of water-damaged cars. People buying second-hand cars should be careful. They're all flood damaged. It's been a long time since we had rain this heavy. All the shops in Tieshi are completely flooded. Look at this shop. Water has already reached halfway up the door.
A local video from the morning of August 19th shows two people, possibly on an electric bicycle, being swept by floodwaters under a parked bus in Dalian. Chinese media reported that on the morning of the 19th, local street office staff confirmed the tragic deaths of the two people. The Dalian bus officer explained that they were father and daughter. This delivery worker's bike was about to be swept away by the floodwaters. He tried his best to hold onto it, but ended up crashing into a motorcycle in front of him, knocking it over as well. In the end, he was rescued with the help of bystanders. This delivery worker helplessly watched as his electric delivery bike was swept away by the floodwaters. After a heavy downpour, the streets of Dalian were filled with vehicles that had been swept away by the floodwaters. Residents suffered significant losses. Homes were destroyed, and floodwaters entered residents' houses, leaving behind chaos. The Dalian Meteorological Service Center reported thunderstorms between 8 p.m. on the 18th and 7 a.m. on the 19th, with rainfall reaching 133.7 millimeters and a peak of 88.7 millimeters in 1 hour. Local citizens criticized the authorities for inadequate flood control and complained that they were still required to work despite the heavy rain. A person from Dalian said, "I want to say that the rain this morning was heavy and fast. The factories did not stop working, and people still had to go to work. In areas with severe flooding, you couldn't even stand steadily. The father and daughter were swept away by the floodwaters." Some citizens complained that Jingpu New District floods every time it rains, yet the issue remains unresolved after many years. They blame corruption among officials. Others criticized the poor drainage system, calling it unacceptable that people are dying in city street floods. A Chinese person on X commented, "Whenever there is a natural disaster, the CCP always blames it on rare heavy rain or abnormal flooding. How much longer can they use these excuses? Under authoritarian rule, the authorities are busy maintaining stability and promoting propaganda, but they neglect the most basic urban infrastructure construction. The lives of ordinary people are treated like mere weeds, struggling between natural and man-made disasters. The tragedy of this father and daughter is a silent condemnation of the system. When will the lives of ordinary people in this land cease to be so fragile?" Another person said, "This kind of flooding is systemic. As long as the CCP is not overthrown, it will persist indefinitely and remain unchangeable. The South-North Water Transfer Project and the construction of numerous dams have completely disrupted the natural balance. Coupled with the substandard quality of urban construction, disasters are now spreading everywhere. How many places in the world experience fatalities from urban flooding after just a rainstorm?" Video footage shows that neighboring Qinhuangdao, Hebei, also suffered severe flooding, with streets turning into rivers and many cars submerged in water. A white sedan that was driving normally was quickly swept away by the floodwaters and began drifting helplessly with the current. Many vehicles were trapped, including a bus that was stuck on the road awaiting rescue. Several cars were also trapped under a bridge, with water nearly reaching their roofs. Several vehicles were also swept into the river.
Look at the heavy rain in Qinghua Dao. It's so intense that 2 cars were washed away.
Beginning August 18th, heavy rains caused widespread flooding in Hebei's Shijiazhuang, Chengde, Qinhuangdao, and Tangshan, with severe urban flooding in the low-lying areas of Shijiazhuang and Chengde. Chengde resident Ms. Wang said, "The rain was heavy, and the river water surged in just over 10 minutes. It's terrifying. Every time it rains, floods come, and it's all muddy water. This is Luchanzi Valley outside the wall of the mountain resort, and the water flowing down from the mountain runs through here. There are 5 sluice gates, and it's very dangerous down there." This is Shanghai City in Hebei Province. The footage shows that the depth of the city's flooding nearly reached the seat height of electric bicycles, with many people struggling to ride through the water. Numerous vehicles stalled after being submerged in water and were stranded along the roadside. In the urban area of Xuanhua, severe flooding at Shengli Bridge has made it impassable. Around 3 p.m. on August 19th, a piping and backflow incident caused a breach in the embankment of Shifu River in Shihu Village, Guangzhou. By 3 a.m. on August 20th, the breach had widened to 50 meters, affecting approximately 167 acres of farmland. After overnight stone dumping and sealing operations, the breach was reduced to 42 meters by 9 a.m. on August 20th and fully closed by 3:49 p.m. the same day. The affected Shihu village had 458 households and 853 residents. On August 18th, a sudden downpour in Shifeng, Inner Mongolia, caused flooding that swept away a truck. The video shows a truck attempting to cross a small bridge, but the river had already overflowed, and the strong currents pushed the truck into the river. 2 people in the truck stood outside the door waiting for rescue. People on the shore shouted to call emergency services. However, it is unclear whether the 2 were eventually rescued. Due to the flood's erosion, the foundation of a mountain road was hollowed out, causing a sudden collapse. Heavy rains in Inner Mongolia destroyed several bridges, and reportedly some large vehicles fell into rivers. Many highways were closed, leaving numerous vehicles stranded at entrances, unable to move forward or retreat, causing significant anxiety. On August 20th, Baoji City in Shanxi province was hit by heavy rain, with some areas also experiencing hail. A flood disaster occurred in the urban area of Baoji, trapping many vehicles on the road. This is Yulin City, Shanxi province, where floods have struck for a third time in a month, leaving the local people in great distress. The floods contaminated the water supply, turning the tap water in some homes into brown sewage. Jiayi County in northern Shanxi was also hit by hail, damaging many crops and causing severe losses to farmers. There was a hailstorm in my hometown, Jiayi County. There was no weather forecast or disaster warning. The sky suddenly darkened, and then a torrential rain followed. The crops in the mountains had already suffered from months of drought. Although the millet and corn weren't growing as well as they usually do, they still bore fruit. But this rain, combined with hail, made things even worse for the already struggling crops. For us farmers who rely on weather for food, drought and hail are the worst things that can happen. Most of these natural disasters hit this year. The hail destroyed all our baby bok choy, hit our bitter melon, and this is our eggplant field. Most of the eggplant leaves have been knocked off, and the fruit have been pitted by the hail. The potatoes have been uprooted, even the smallest ones. The pumpkin vines are gone, and the corn stalks have been knocked over and broken, leaving the field in ruins. The worst hit crop is the tomatoes. So many tomatoes were growing, and now they've all been damaged by the hail. This is exactly the time when the tomatoes should be ripening. It's just so terrible. On August 19th, news of flash floods at a camping site at Guangzhou trended on social media. On August 17th, a small creek in Luodong Craftsman's Town in Guangzhou was hit by a sudden flash flood, sweeping away some tourists who were playing in the water. The video shows that before the water level rose, tourists had set up tents near the river with camping gear such as tables and carts, with the water only reaching a child's ankles. Just a few minutes later, the water rapidly rose, and the swift current swept away the tents and food. An adult and 2 children playing in the water were swept several meters away by the current. Fortunately, they were rescued and were unharmed. A woman living near the campsite received a notification about the rising water levels and rushed to warn the campers. Luckily, she alerted them in time, and everyone managed to escape. Otherwise, the consequences could have been disastrous. Hurry up! Hurry this way, quickly! The government doesn't let me run this campsite, but if they did, I would take care of you. If I hadn't come to warn you, you would have been swept away by the flood. Scary, isn't it? I got the notice and rushed down right away. It was terrifying. On August 18th, torrential rains also hit Dezhou, Shandong, where a delivery driver was still riding his electric scooter to make deliveries, struggling to move through the flooded streets. On August 18th, Wuhan, Hubei, also experienced sudden gale-force winds and torrential rain, causing severe urban flooding and turning streets into rivers. It must be said that the drainage systems in Chinese cities are largely inadequate. In Wujian Mountain, in Hubei, floodwaters entered a villager's home once again, and she tearfully lamented, "Every year it floods, every single year. So many homes here are like this." This is a farmer's market in Wuhan, where the footage shows floodwaters over half a meter deep, with many cars stalling after being submerged. Flooding also occurred in Yangzhou, Jiangsu, due to heavy rain.
Everyone, please take a look. Our entire home has been flooded. No one is looking after this area. Look, the refrigerator, bed, and sofa are all underwater. Can the authorities please help us out in time?
This is the third time that Zhengzhou has flooded this year. At the Zhengzhou International Exhibition Center, the water inside the halls reached knee-high after the heavy rain. No one visited, and many merchants also suffered significant losses. Additionally, the train station and subway station in Changsha, Hunan, were flooded again. On August 17th, flooding hit Yongzhou, Hunan. The locals said it was the first time they had seen such heavy rain in 40 years. Huangnitang Town in Qiyang City experienced over 174 millimeters of rainfall in 3 hours, causing severe urban flooding. Many homes, farmers' markets, and supermarkets were submerged. This was the third disaster to hit Yongzhou, Hunan this year. In the past 3 months, continuous heavy rains have affected many provinces from south to north in China. In addition to frequent landslides and reservoir discharges upstream, there were reports of unannounced dam releases that led to cities being submerged several meters deep, with villages, homes, and farmlands completely inundated. The losses to residents and businesses were devastating. The comment sections on Chinese social media were filled with complaints from the public. The CCP authorities make annual promises to control floods, yet year after year, floods continue to cause disasters and harm people. Wu Guoguang, a senior researcher at Stanford University's China Economy and Institutional Research Center, wrote an op-ed stating that although natural disasters are common, the negligence of the Chinese authorities leads to man-made disasters of all kinds. Wu pointed out that the authorities' attitude towards floods is at best neglectful and at worst disregard for human life. Neither the highest authorities nor party and government agencies ever make an appearance during floods. Wu bluntly stated in his article, "The root of all these man-made disasters is obviously the basic nature of the CCP regime, authoritarianism."